Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today is day number 85 of the 100 Days of EDH, and we are going to take a look at what Guildpact gave Commander format. Guildpact came out in February of 2006. It had 165 cards, 55 of each, common, uncommon, and rare. This was still in the days before Mythic. Now, as where Ravnica focused on 4 guilds, Guildpact had 3. Hence the set symbol having, 3 protruding edges. And that is Gruul, Orzhov, and Izzet. So let's look at it. First, we have Ghostway. Now, Ghostway was, it was a beautiful card, and it started the path of the Save My Creatures from Your Wrath. And, man, is it a good one. Still sees play to this day. It's an amazing card. Stormherd. Yeah. Now, I'm a big fan of the theory of 10 mana spells should win you the game. And this one does, if it's not answered. But the answer is easier than most, a board wipe. And we all run those. So, but Stormherd is kind of one of those, I don't know. I feel giddy every time I draw it. And every copy I own is in a deck somewhere. I will get more because I will build more life gain decks or decks that have incidental life gain where you just, accidentally you're at 100. And Stormherd is real good. I would love Pegasus Tribal to be a thing. I would love a legendary Pegasus. I would love, and somewhere we go with an actual Pegasus tribe. But, yeah, I takes what I gets. 2 Arms is a 2 mana white instant, and this is more powerful than it looks. This is a great combat trick. It allows you to swing out at somebody and then still have this to back up as, surprise blockers. I just untap my team. Oh, and I get to draw a card. It replaces itself for 2 mana. So that's really good. I've used it many times to bail me out of a pinch. Giga Drowse. Now tap target permanent for 1 blue mana and the replicate for a single blue. So I have used this in many, many different ways. Defensively, as to during your upkeep, I'm going to tap your couple of big things that I can't block or that's going to kill me. And offensively, as at the end of the turn before me, I'm going to tap all your blockers. Yeah. Now, we had a 5-color cycle of Mage Marks, and they were all 3 mana auras, enchant creature, and I don't think I covered all 5 of them. I know I covered this one because it's amazing. They all said creatures you control that are enchanted get +1/+1 and something. The blue one here says it can't be blocked except by creatures with Defender. Now, it's not just the creature this enchants, it's all of your enchanted creatures. So this was a cycle that I found overlooked with the recent enchantment craze. Quicken. Have you ever just wanted to cast that Damnation or that in Garrick's Wake at instant speed? Effectively, it adds a mana to it. Now, this does replace itself. So, and I have played decks where I have just played Quicken to draw a card to get me a card deeper when you're digging. But that's more of a last case scenario than anything else. Hissing Miasma. Now, this is a perfect defense for those token swarm decks because, if they've got 20 creatures coming at you, well, but how bad you want them to attack me? You can attack other people, and I'm cool with that. You don't take damage. You attack me, you're taking some damage. It protects you from the go wide, not necessarily the go tall, but it does help against the swarm. Leyline of the Void. Now, I know we're in black, and I didn't talk about the 2 previous ley lines. There was a cycle of ley lines. This was the first cycle of ley lines that we ever got. 1 per color. And they all had I think they were all 4 mana, and they all said if you start with the opening hand, you start with them in play. Now, and then they did whatever thing that their color does. As where this one is clearly, I mean, head and shoulders more powerful than the others. It is just leaps and bounds. If a card will be put into an opponent's graveyard, remove it. Exile that joker. So, yeah, it's really good, and there is a lot of speculation right now with the London Mulligan that that's going to become a thing. Me personally, I feel like it's going to, because, well, the last couple times they tried a quote-unquote test, they automatically, right after it, adopted it. I mean, they've done a certain amount of research. That's their job. They should. And it's passed all their internal tests, so they're going to see if the the super competitive populace can break it. And if that doesn't happen, then, yeah, it's going to go live. And if that happens, the ley lines, especially this one, are going to get insane. Now, will it matter to us? No, because we don't use that mulligan. We use the EDH mulligan. Or most of us use house rule mulligans, as to maybe your local game shop has their own mulligan rule for Commander, or maybe, you know, if you played a buddy's house. We do over at my local play group, we still use, I think it's called Partial Paris. I mean, but anyway, Leyline's a good card. Batman, Skeletal Vampire. 6 mana for a 3/3 flyer doesn't exactly excite you, I know, but Vampire Skeleton, that's kind of cool. And when it comes into play, you get 2 bats. It's very clever. I mean, sometimes the continuity doesn't work, but I love the fact that this is, you know, it actually has a flying skeleton and it has 2 bats, because there have been cards in the past where the art has shown, like, you know, 50 of something, and there's like, you get a. But anyway, you can spend 5 mana and sack a bat to put 2 bats in play. So this is a, and then you sack a bat to regenerate this guy. If I ever build bat tribal, this will go in it. I don't know if I've got him in any tribal vampire decks. Now, I know he's in tribal skeletons, but yeah, I think we're going to need a few more bats for me to go down that road. Who am I kidding? I'm probably going to do it anyway. Dryad Sophisticate. 2 mana for a 2/1 Dryad, but it has non-basic land walk. This means it's unblockable in Commander. Oh my god. Well, most of the time. Just simply because it is, I mean, non-basic lands are our jam. That's what we do. Not many players play monocolor, and even when we do play monocolor, we play a ton of utility lands. See Rogue's Passage. The green ley line, it's mild, it's okay. Creature spells can't be countered. That's, you know, plus it has the ley line ability. Now we're into the gold. This is where the Ravnica sets shine. Now, Angel of Despair was a costly card at 7 mana, but it's a 5/5 flyer that has a Vindicate. An ETB Vindicate. So, if you want to take off Vindicate mana, Vindicate costs 3, and that's a really good deal. You're paying 4 for this. So, yeah, either way you look at it, you're getting a deal here. And this is a great reanimation target. It's a great cheat into play target with various ways you can do it. Angel of Despair is a good card. Bobo. Bobogamos, I think. I don't know. I've heard it pronounced 15 different ways. Here again, we have a 7 mana 6/7. This is a legendary Cyclops. Do I have Bobo built? Original Bobo? I wonder if there's enough Cyclops for me to... Anyway, it's a 6/7 Trampler, and it deals combat damage to a player. Put a 1/1 counter on your team. So, yeah, even, you know, if it deals the full 6, you're only getting a counter, but it is Gruul, and there are ways to, you know, enjoy those 1/1 counters you're putting on your entire team. So this screams to, you know, creature-heavy decks, obviously. Culling Sun. Now, this is a different take on a board wipe. This is a very controlled one. Destroy each creature with converted mana cost 3 or less. Now, you can build your deck around this. It's to where you know, if you find yourself playing white and black and not have many low-end creatures, this may be a good include. Or if you just, if you just want to use this as a starting point, and maybe you have a 4, 5, 6 mana commander, you can try to maximize it by just, okay, I'm not going to have any 1, 2, or 3s that are creatures. I'll have them all as spells or artifacts or whatnot. Either way, it's exceptional for killing tokens. Guildpact gave us the Nephilim cycle. Now, I've heard, as long as EDH has been popular, I have heard that the Nephilim should be legendary. They should be legendary. Well, you know, I hate to say it, but they're not. So we only have 5 options for 4-color commanders, and that's a couple of years ago from the commander precons. We'll get more. I'm not worried about that. We'll get more. And they also gave us the partners so that we can kind of build our own 4-color. But it's a thing. They all pretty much. This requires all but blue. I know it's bad to define things by what they're not, but if I say all but blue, you know what I'm talking about. So it's a 4-mana 3/3. When it deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 sand creature token into play for each land you control. So if you find yourself playing all but blue, this is not actually a bad card if you can, take advantage of some sand creature tokens. Feral Animist. Man, this is a sharp card with... I probably need to go back and put this in Nikia. 3 mana 2/1, 3 mana colon. It gets plus X, plus O until end of turn, where X is its power. And of course, Nikia has the mana doubling, can only play creatures thing. So this way, you can... you swing with it, and yeah, it's kind of fragile. It has a 1 toughness, but more than likely you're going to find a way to give it first strike, double strike, whatever, and dump a ton of mana into it. Gelectrode. Now, there was a deck called Is It Gun, and I built the commander version of it, and this is the gun in Is It Gun. It's just so good. 3 mana for a 0/1 weird. Yep. It's a weird. Tap to plink. Deal 1 damage to target creature or player. But whenever you play an instant or sorcery, you get to untap this. So they printed so many cards that in Is It that dealt with instants and sorceries and helped instant sorceries and counted them and discounted them and all the things, that it just made for a perfect environment for this Is It Gun, and it was a ton of fun. I think the highest high CMC in the deck was this Gelectrode. Ghost Council of Orzhova. Now, man, this Joker's done some work over the years. I don't know how many games I lost to it. For 4 mana, double white, double black, you get a 4/4 Legendary Spirit Lord. When it comes into play, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. You can spend a mana to sack a creature, to exile it, and it comes back at end of turn. This is it dodges removal. Very, very good. And that comes into play, losing and gaining. That's not nothing, because that's not going to happen once. That's going to happen probably 3 or 4 times over the course of the game. And if this is your commander, it's going to happen a bunch, because you start with it essentially in your hand. You start the game with access to it anyway. Glintai Nephilim. This is all but white. For a 2/2, 4 mana 2/2. Deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards. That's pretty strong, yo. Especially if you've got something like that Knight from Alara, that creatures get +1 for each color they are. What? So a colorless, discard a card, and this guy gets +1/+1 to end of turn. So That ability we're probably not using that much. We're playing this to deal the combat damage to draw the cards. That's the real reason why we're doing this. Ink Treader Nephilim. This is all but black. So it's a 4-mana 3/3. Whenever a player plays an instant or sorcery, if Ink Treader is the only target of that spell, copy the spell for each other creature that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. So this one's a little tougher to make work. So, I mean, there are cards to do it, but like, say, we got green, yeah. So, say Giant Growth. You know, if you just Giant Growth the Ink Treader, then copy the spell for each other creature. Not that you control, just each other creature. So every creature on the board is going to get a Giant Growth. So, I guess in a pinch, you could Lightning Bolt your dude to Lightning Bolt everything. If you don't have a board wipe and need it and a Lightning Bolt kills everything, there are, I'm confident that there's better ways to play this card than is what's coming to my mind right now. I'm sure y'all probably have it already broken. Invoke the Firemind. Do you want to brainstorm or do you want a fireball? Well, blaze, because it's not, you can't bounce it. But I loved the versatility of this in especially is it card draw decks, or if you are generating some serious mana in your Izzet deck, this might be a card to think about to have either or. Izzet Chronarch is 3 generic, a blue and a red for a 2/2 human wizard that says when Izzet Chronarch comes into play, put target. Yeah. Instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, I read it as when Izzet Chronarch comes into play, put target Warp World back into your hand. Because that's what I do with it. Mortify. Now, Mortify, I think, has stood the test of time a little better than Putrefy had, although, Putrefy is still an amazing card. Mortify, also amazing. That color combination, though, hasn't really been eclipsed because white-black went away from creature or enchantment and just kind of settled into target permanent, which, Vindicate is strictly better, but at this point here in 2006, Vindicate's already existed. We've already got it. Now, we don't have the lose 3 life one or the other, but Mortify, still a good solid card. Niv Mizzet the Firemind. Oh, God, I love this card. I played Arena, 2-3 days, 6 months ago or however long, and my opponent cast a Niv Mizzet, and the graphic that happened was just, I felt like, I'm just dead now. But it's pretty neat. I don't want to dog on Arena because it is an amazing program, but it's just not for me. Anyway, Niv Mizzet is a 6-mana 4/4. You got to be really committed to Izzet here. Although not as committed as the newest one. 2/2/2 for 4/4 flying dragon wizard legend. And whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet deals 1 damage to target creature player. Now this is really, and it taps to draw a card. Oh, and by the way, got a question for you. When you tap cards, do you tap it to the right or to the left? And when I say that, do you take the top of the card and swing it to the right, or do you take the top of the card and swing it to the left? Now, a lot of times it just depends, but for me, when I played Niv Mizzet, I have to actually tap it like the little tappy symbol says. I have to swing the top to the right, because if you do, that flavor text says Niv Mizzet is number 1. Anyway, there are a lot of cards that just bust old Niv Mizzet wide open. You've got Curiosity and Ophidian Eye, and some of those are a little more dangerous than others because they're not May abilities. They're have to, and you end up decking yourself if you don't have a lab man. You just, I try not to use lab mana as much as possible because, let's face it, it's an easy crutch for us, and I don't want to get too dependent on that. So, anyway, Niv Mizzet's outstanding. Stitch in Time. Of course, 3 mana. If I told you for 3 mana you had a 50% chance to take an extra turn, would that be worth it? It's definitely worth it to me because there's no upside or there's no downside if you lose. I mean, it's not like you just flip a coin. If you win the flip, take an extra turn. If you lost the flip, well, you're just out the mana and a card. You know, that's the most of it. This is another one of those cards that Mirrodin, Crack's Thumb, helps out quite a bit. 50% of the time it does anyway. But it's a decent card. I've got it in, what is it, Zinder Split, and whatever the coin flippy guys are, the locked partners from Battlebond. Teysa Orzhov Scion. Now, Teysa. I'm telling you, Teysa is amazing. It doesn't matter what form she's in. We've got 3 different Teysa cards now. They're all pretty good. They all do a similar but different thing. And this one's no exception. She's amazing. 3 mana, 2/3 Human Advisor Legend. Sacrifice 3 white creatures to exile a creature. And whenever another black creature you control is put into a graveyard from play, you get a white spirit. So she, as long as you are sacrificing things or things of your black creatures are dying, then you're going to get more spirits that can fuel your exile. Now, the hardcore meta way that I thought about doing her was solid gold, all black and white creatures, so that you can sacrifice those Orzhov creatures, sack 3 of them to exile a creature, and you're going to get, because they're all white and black, you're going to get 3 more spirits to where you can exile them. So for the cost of 3 creatures, you can net 2. Tibor and Lumia. Now, I don't know. These are really good. This was back in the day when they, I say back in the day, I guess they still do it, to represent 2 people on one card. You know, Pia and Kieran. Yeah, I guess they still do that. A lot, actually. Anyway, it's a 4 mana 3/3. When you play a blue spell, target creature gains flying. When you play a red spell, it deals 1 damage to each creature without flying. So that right there tells you exactly what you want to do with that. It's just straight up good old-fashioned Izzet flyers. Ulasht the Hateseed's a legendary Hydra for 4 mana. Comes into play with a 1/1 counter on it for each other red creature you control, and a 1/1 counter on it for each other green creature you control. That's pretty sweet. Spend a mana, remove a counter, and you get to pick one. Ulasht deals 1 damage to a target, or put a Saproling into play. Now, there are several ways you can go with this. The +1 counter theme, obviously, you can Voltron this thing up. You're playing red and green. Green is the +1 counter color, and you can just, commander damage people out. You can red and green, so you're gonna be able to give your creatures trample. Now, if you were to manage to give Ulasht Infect, that remove a counter ability dealing 1 damage to a creature I'm sorry, not Infect, but Death Touch, would, to 1 damage, is lethal. Or you could go with the Saproling token route, but I feel like if we're going Saproling tokens, there's a lot better commanders out there to do this. Me personally, yeah, this is my Tribal Hydra commander. We Dragonauts also an Izzet gun, because this thing I have been swung at. Attack you with the Wee Dragonauts. Not block it. I'm not taking 1. I'm taking like 11. Oh, I'll put Sadness on the stack. Witch Maw Nephilim is all but red. And so it's a 4 mana 1/1. Whenever you play a spell, you put 2 counters on it. And whenever it attacks, it gains trample if it has 10 power or more. So that's another not bad Nephilim. It's okay. Your Tiller Nephilim is all but green. So it's 4 mana 2/2. And when it attacks, return target creature card from your graveyard to play tapped and attacking. That right there just tells you, man, we need to fill up a graveyard. And we've got red, so we might as well use multiple combat steps as well. But I don't know. Maybe we find legendary versions of them that work similar somehow. Maybe they have ascended into being Nephilims that matter, or I don't really know the story behind the Nephilims because they're not legendary, so I didn't bother. Debtor's Knell, we get into hybrid cards. Now, Debtor's Knell was it is still a good card. It's 7 mana, but it hadn't had a reprint until recently in the Guild Kit. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card in a graveyard under your control. So you're playing the 2 mass removal colors, and you get to pick the best thing in any graveyard every turn. Yeah, watch out. This enchantment's going to get destroyed. People are not going to stand for that for very long. Djinn Illuminatus. Now, 7 mana for a 3/5 flyer. Each instant and sorcery you play has Replicate. The Replicate cost is equal to its mana cost. Yeah, that's really kind of nice. How many times do you want a Lightning Bolt? Or I keep using Lightning Bolt. I realize Lightning Bolt is not, amazing in our format, but it is one of the first cheap spells that come to mind. Sorry, I'm an old guy. Then we have the guild signets of the 3 guilds in here. All the signets work identical. We have the Gruul, the Izzet. Now let's look at the Transreliquat. Mizzium Transreliquat. Not only is it just fun to say, it is a 3 mana artifact. And then, it doesn't impact the board instantly, but Mirage Mirror is kind of taking this place. But I think in an Izzet artifact deck, you probably want both and all of the other copy artifact stuff. So you spend 3 colorless, and the Reliquat becomes a copy of target artifact till end of turn, right? Or you spend a generic, a blue and red, it becomes a copy of target artifact and keeps this ability. So that's cool. You could, if you have the need to change it multiple times during a turn, you have that option. And this is it color identity, so you're only going to run it in decks where you can run blue or red. So, and of course we have the Orzhov Signet. And we have the 3 shock lands that are from the 3 guilds, the Godless Shrine, Steam Vents, and Stomping Ground. Now, the Rage Pit, the Rage Pit, in my opinion, it's not bad, but it got outclassed with the Kessig Wolf run because, it does add a colorless mana, and for a red and a green and tap, target creature gets 1/1 and gain trample. So I used this a lot before Wolf Run to give a creature trample that I had to have it give trample. And nowadays, even though that Wolf Run's out there, this is more or less a second copy of just a land that grants trample. Now, granted, Wolf Run, it hugely pumps the creature in addition to the trample, but it's fine. And that's what I've got for Guildpact. I do appreciate y'all watching, and we will see y'all tomorrow.